To create a lighting plan in SketchUp and SketchUp Layout, there's a couple of steps we're going to go through. So the first thing you're going to do is create a lighting plan scene. You want a top view. Again, make sure your camera is in parallel projection. So you don't need to see door swings. You don't need to see bathroom fixtures, cabinets. It's really focused on the ceiling and what's going there. The next thing you'll do is add a tag for lighting. And then you're going to go in and draw all your lighting symbols in here. When you are drawing lighting symbols, they should always be to scale. So for instance, if this is a large pendant or a chandelier in the living room, and if it's 36 inches, my outer circle, the overall dimension of it should be 36 inches. For lighting symbols, you really are just creating a graphic for each different type of light. So there's not anything that's standard. This, I just kind of did a couple of circles and an X through it. And that's going to be my living room chandelier. I've used 6-inch can lights. So those are here just kind of throughout. I just did a simple circle for them. I did some other pendants in the bedroom, a different like flush mount fixture in the kit or the bathroom, etc. This one is track lighting that I chose to show for the kitchen. So for track lighting, again, it's to scale. You would draw a line that's the length of the actual track. And then you're going to show the lights on either side as they go through, or if they're all on one side. And it can be, you can use circles, you can use squares, you can use triangles, whatever works. It's just kind of indicating where those lamps are placed along the track. You want to make sure things are lined up as well. So the easiest way to do that is make sure you use your guides. So you would come in on this line, and I would find the center and then just go straight through. So you can see from this, I've got some of mine lined up, but not all of them. And then you can go through and move them to make sure that they all line up on the axes and they're all straight, right? I did the same thing for these pendants. So anything you have using those lines to make sure they're straight, you want to go through that. So you'll make sure you have the different graphics with different types of lights, that they're drawn to scale, and that you have enough lighting kind of throughout the space. Then on your view, you're going to make sure axes are turned off as well as guides. And then I'm going to update this scene and then save it so that it's ready to get pulled into SketchUp Layout. So then in Layout, I've added a lighting plan sheet. I pulled in my lighting plan view and set it, since we're doing residential, it's at 1/4 inch scale right here. So the next thing I need to do is create a lighting key. So for the lighting plan, I usually put the lighting sheet. I usually put the floor plan off to one side, so there's room for the key next to it. Now with the key, you also want to use the graphic to scale as much as possible. Typically, it will work and be fine if you had a really long strand of track lighting or something, then that might be a little off as you go through it. For this, I typically use the lines to draw it versus the table tool, because I want to make sure I have plenty of space for each of these graphics that's going in there. So I just come through and I just use the line tool to draw that. And then just use the text tool to define each one. So you'll see I've got listed in here my 6-inch can light, and I have the graphic representing it. And then I've listed track lighting, living room chandelier, etc., all the way through each different type that I have. So to get your graphics here to make sure they're exact and to scale, you are going to create your own scrapbook. So you will go to File, New, and we just need paper, just plain paper for this, and any size is fine. And what you're going to do is you're going to I'm going to insert my drawing, just like if I was putting a viewport in. So it'll come in and I'm going to choose the lighting plan, make sure that comes in. I'm going to make sure that it's to the scale of the drawing, so set that to 1/4 inch. And then what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to crop it around each of the graphics that I want to use. Okay. So, and I typically try to get it kind of close so that it's easy. So that gives me one, and you'll continue. Then I'm going to insert again, same thing. And again, make sure that the scale is set to 1/4 inch. And then this time I'll choose a different one. So maybe this time I want to focus or to get the graphic for the pendant lighting, oops, that's in the bedroom. So I'm just going to crop right around that. So I will do that for all of them. And you can, it doesn't matter where they're placed on here. If you put them, you can make them organized, line them up, whatever works for you. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll need to draw your duplex outlet symbols and your lighting switch symbols. So for the lighting switch, and these there's not really a way to scale it. So I'll show you, I just kind of draw it where I can see it fairly easily. And you can even copy this to make it sure that it's the exact same length. And then I'm going to use my freehand to draw that piece as I go through. And this is where you can use your arrange. I'm going to send that to the back so that I see all of it as it goes through. And you can also, I can use this to adjust it so that it's a better size that I need it to be. Okay, so you'll get it to look close to what it should for a lighting symbol. And you would do the same thing for your electrical, your duplex outlet. I don't know why. Oh, it's still on freehand. So I would draw that. Same thing. I'm just doing Control C and Control V lets me copy it. And it basically just copies right on top of it. So then I can move it over and I can shift this as I need to so that it lines up. All right, and then for these, I want to highlight all of it, right click, and make it a group. Same thing for this one, highlight, right click, make group. You don't need to do it for these that you've imported, but for these that you freehand draw, you do. Okay. After you have all of your symbols on here, you're going to go to File, Save as Scrapbook. Okay. And then you'll give it a name. Let's call it Lighting and Electrical. And hit OK. And it'll save it. So now when I go back to my layout and I come down to my scrapbooks and drop down the menu, I have access to that lighting and electrical. So it will open up. Whoops, went through it. For the lighting part, I'm going to drag it over. That was not what I wanted to bring over. Let me make sure all my things are updated. Because I did make some changes for that. Okay, so now I should be able to drag this over. What is this? My living room chandelier. Okay. For some reason, it shifted on me, where my crop is. So I'm just going to fix that. It's probably because I moved it over. So if it looks odd, then you might just want to expand it so that you can see it. So now it's got what I need, and I can place it in there and it matches up with that. So same thing, we'll check this one, bring it over. And yeah, it's just when I moved it, it shifted it as it went through. So I can just recrop it to make sure I get what I need for that. And this was actually the pendant that I'm trying to get. So if yours looks odd, what you want to do is just kind of increase the size of the square so you can kind of see what's going on, and then you can recrop it as you need to. And I have the pendant light from earlier. So that will give you all of these. You can shift them up. And sometimes I'll just use the arrow keys to move up or down a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier as you go through it. And you'll place everything there as you need to. Now for the light switches and all. So these, what I will typically do is just kind of scale them on the drawing. So I will get it close to where I want it to go and just manually adjust the size so that it's appropriate for the size of the drawing. There's not a good way to scale things in SketchUp Layout where it works. So you'll put your lighting switches where you want it. Same thing for the outlets. So I just, again, shrink those down to where it makes sense. And then once you have it, you can then copy it. So again, Control C, Control V, and move it around. It'll stay that same size. So you can go through. You can also, right here, if you hover over this where it gets the rotate, you can rotate it so that it fits whichever direction you need with that. So you'll place your outlets and your lighting switches. There's not a good way to do a switching diagram in Layout as far as doing the curved lines in a hatched format. So we will not worry about that on this as it goes through. But this is kind of the final, what you should have and what it should look like for your lighting plan.